Welcome to Kev's Travel Stories. Each week I'll be bringing you a story from the weird and wonderful world of travel, a world that can change the way you see life and love and even the way we find meaning. Places that are iconic and sometimes surprising and even terrifying. So sit back and enjoy while we go on a magical mystery tour together. Welcome to On the Road with Kev. It's episode 7 of this journey across Asia, and this time we are going to visit somewhere that's actually fantastical. It's a place that reminded me of Venice in the way it conjures magic in the imagination. Yes, I'm talking about Nong Han Lake. This is in the north of Thailand near the town of Thailand, and there with friends that I've made over the years. I went with them, a very humble family. We went with them, got a car, took a lift about 30 kilometers outside of Thailand, and you drive to the lake and you do a circuitous route around and you come to a landing where there are lots of shacks and boats. And when I mean shacks, I really do mean shacks. I mean, this is very, very basic. There's people there, they have these flat-bottom boats. You get out, you go down. It's a party of 6, I think we were, and a grandmother, mother, and very, very, very kind and welcoming people. We hired the boat. I think it was 500 baht, which is about 15 euro. You get this incredible trip through, which I'm going to describe. So you sit in, put on your life jacket, and off you head. Now, this is always very early in the morning. You try to get there for as near dawn as possible. The reason for this is that with temperatures of 33 degrees, the flowers close over when the heat becomes too intense. So you have to time your journey. So let me just paint the picture. You're down on the side of this lake. It's nothing remarkable to talk about. You push off and the little motor sputters to life after a couple of yanks on the pulley, and out we sputtered. We went down a long channel. There were these shacks with fishing nets on either side. There was herons and these rather beautiful exotic birds that were fishing in the water. It's very shallow water. It's a very shallow lake. Then you come to a channel which then takes you to the left. And then something very magical happens, dear listener. Something that in the many wonders of the world I've seen really still sticks in my imagination. And you see in the distance a pink-red shimmer. Now you wonder, what could that possibly be? On the boat goes, chugging along. You take photos. You're looking on either side. There's very few people about. There's very, very little traffic in these waters. They're just these dedicated boats to take people out to see what is, I think, one of the wonders of the world. Because in front of you, opening up on the horizon, you see these absolute expanses of red lilies or lotuses. The lake is known as the Lake of Red Lotuses. They're actually a particular species of lilies, and it is the most fantastical sight. It's a bit like if you were a child of the 60s and you have the Beatles with their psychedelic dreams where drugs opened up the imagination and there were flowers sprouting everywhere, particularly on the Magical Mystery Tour, if you go back and check on YouTube for that, which was a wonderful creative metaphor, if you like. Suddenly, you find yourself entering a dream world of red flowers floating on the surface of this lake. And what's more, you get kissed by the flight of these beautiful little birds, these little starlings that flit and dive bomb the boat, a bit like dolphins chasing down a schooner traveling through the Arctic waters. It was the most incredible sight. Now, let me just put the whole thing in context. This is one of the only places in the world where these particular flowers flourish. The lily lotuses come out. They only come out 4 months of the year, from January through to about the end of March. And then there's suddenly an explosion of millions of red floating flowers with their beautiful accompanying green platform that they rest on. And there they are, floating in the water. And the overall impact of it is quite dreamlike, is the only word I can say. You are in a field of dreams of these. And as we approached and we got closer, you suddenly saw the little red lotuses appearing on either side of the boat, and then they suddenly just take off. Hundreds of thousands suddenly surround you, and the birds are dive bombing you from above. These beautiful little starlings flying and flittering and coming right over your head, going around the prow of the little flat-bottomed boat. There are a particular man who's a local fisherman. He turned off the motor and we just glided right into the lakes. They're very particular not to damage these plants because they're the livelihood due to the people that come from around the world to see this unique phenomenon. So there we stayed in the middle, surrounded by a fiery red blanket of lotuses. Up above was the blue sky. The sun was just warming up now, and you could actually see the last lotuses open. It was a bit like a miracle. It was a bit like seeing the fragility and the beauty of life and the madness of the imagination of creation. Why does this happen? It almost looks as if it's from the creation of someone who is making a cartoon. They're there. There seems to be no particular reason why they're there other than the actually stunning beauty of being surrounded in this 3D vision of red lotuses as far as the eye can see, surrounding you. And all the time, the tweet and twitter of these birds, which are dancing about your head in what I can only describe as pure delight. And that is the feeling I had as we sat there. What a wonder the world is. What a beautiful place we live on. And I know there's always this sort of sadness because on the journey out, you can see the ravages of mankind. I mean, in Asia, there's a huge amount of pollution of the air. You go through remnants of this pollution, and then you come to this lake, which is a restricted area, thank God, and you just have nature's gift to the eye, to the soul. And dear reader, if you ever get the chance to get to northern Thailand, to the district of Nong Han Lake, and you can get up early and you can catch a cab, the whole experience costs very little money. You will have something that will probably stay with you for life. Because as I sat there, I really understood how fragile this ecosystem is. And the fisherman told us through the translation of Kara's family how it can very easily be disturbed. This could easily be wiped out by any form of pollution, by any over-trafficking of tourism. But if you're there, right in the heart of it, and you see it, it is something, it's almost like nature giving you a kiss on the forehead and a little caress and saying, look at the wonder. You think you're smart. You think Homo sapiens produces beautiful things, AI and bots and art and Michelangelo. Well, have a look at this. And I have to tell you, in my book, sitting there, surrounded by these flowers opening up to the kiss of the sunshine, being caressed by the wings of starlings, diving and shooting up and circling, and in joy and bliss, is a sensation I will really cherish as something so precious. The boat eventually moved on to a little island where the Buddha resides, and there's several Buddha statues there, and I joined my little group of local, they're from Udantanai, and we made obeisance to the Buddha. We lit a couple of candles, we banged the ceremonial gong, which sends out these sort of om noises like the birth of the universe sounds. And then we got back in the boat and went back through this coral, this red coral. And I just thought, wow, isn't this what travel is all about? Because it feeds the soul. And in the last podcast, I was talking about neuroplasticity and how having new experiences, because in the Western world we're very privileged and we can stay in our lane. It's the winter months and we can stay just in our houses enjoying the comforts of Western life and the TV and the entertainment, or the distraction, as it probably is in a lot of cases, an unnecessary distraction perhaps. But I think with a little effort, and if you have the means and the opportunity to travel and to see some of the sights, and you don't have to go as far as Udon Thani in northern Thailand, but if you do, you're in for a treat that will long stay in the memory. I really remember as we exited this extraordinary sight and this extraordinary phenomena, thinking, my goodness me, I could have been back in Dublin, getting up in the cold and the wet and doing my thing. But I did make the effort to extract myself from that and place myself in a different place and a different destination. And the benefits of that are so many and multiplied hundreds of times. And you can actually feel your imagination, your brain, your creativity, your neuroplasticity. And that's the ability of the brain to repair itself, to keep active, to form new synapses. And the research shows this is so powerful when it comes to things like dementia, Alzheimer's, cognitive decline. So to have a new experience, whether it's going down to a beautiful loch in Glendalough or in the Corrib, or going into more exotic places if you're a European, it all feeds in to this gift of life. And I don't think I'll ever quite forget that just feeling of serenity and vulnerability of these wonderful flowers, which were really almost like friends. They were just sort of floating there to give pleasure. I really think it was a bit of a miracle. And I would so share that with you. And just that sense of quiet and the water and these explosions of pink and red and the extraordinary birds flying in delight. The trip would be worth it for that alone. Till next time when we move on to another country, another exciting adventure. Signing off for now, Kevin.